Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jason Ramos, Good Vibes Real Estate Solutions, sitting here with Stephen Chatto.
And welcome to another episode of Chat with Chatto. So we wanted to touch base with you. It's another Wednesday. We're back again.
Same outfits.
Same outfits as last week. It's like living in the time warp. Anyway, that being said, last week we asked you to go out there and do some marketing, which is great. So now, hopefully your phone's ringing, or at least you got some sellers trying to contact you. So now what do? We asked you to go out and talk to 50 FSBOs to kind of get comfortable talking on the phone. But how do we deal with an actual seller who wants to sell their house cash?
Cool. This is what I do. All right? This is what I do on a daily basis. So this is fun times, guys. Now that the phone is ringing, what do you actually need to know and how to convert these leads into actual money? All right, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So one of the most important things on this call is determine the motivation. Why is that important?
So in the wholesaling business, right, motivation is very important because there's going to be different types of motivation. There's going to be people that just want to sell their house quickly. They might be financially in good shape, but they just want to be done with the headache. There's other people that need to sell for other reasons, but if they don't have a high motivation level, their price is going to be a lot higher than we need it to be. They're either going to have high motivation and a low price, or a high price and a low motivation.
Right.
We want a low price, so we need high motivation.
Right. So the higher the motivation, the lower the price is going to be. So there's different motivation levels. There's distressed homeowners. All right. So that means the homeowner is going through some type of financial distress, whether it's a divorce, bankruptcy, they're old and they have to move out, something to that effect.
So some examples, right? A property we just recently wholesaled was a fire damage property, right? So they got paid off from the mortgage, paid out from the insurance. So their mortgage was paid off. They got their money back. They just wanted to be done with the headache. They didn't want to rehab it. They didn't want to pay to get it rehabbed. There was a rental property for them. They were done, right? So that's their level of motivation. Then we had another one. What was Mike? He was down in North Carolina.
Oh man, this
what
one
was his motivation?
The father died. The house was a total wreck.
Complete.
Wonderful neighborhood, total wreck though, and so that was a great deal for us. So his motivation was he just wants to be done with it. He knew he had an asset because it was in a great area, but he wanted to be totally done. He lived in a state, about 5 hours away, so he didn't want to come back and travel and deal with it. So his motivation was high. He wanted to be done. He wanted a payout. So that worked very well for us.
Well, so how do you determine the motivation, right? So what's that look like? The person calls, they leave a message, I guess, saying, hey, my name is Steve. I want to sell 123 Main Street. You call them back. What's that conversation look like?
All right. So we have a script that we use that we give to all of our newbies, all of our people on the phone and that type of thing. But basically, a script is guidelines. All right, I don't want you to sound like a robot on the call or anything like that, but you follow these guidelines and you're going to be successful on every call.
Absolutely.
Number one, you want to set the expectation.
Set the stage, okay.
Set the stage when you're on that call. You want to let them know, who you are, what you do, what you can offer for their property, and let them know how long it's going to be. So a sample, we're going to do like a sample contact, all right? So basically, when people call us, they want to know who we are, what we can do. Do you have these similar questions? Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, you verify the name, the address, email address. You always want to get the email address so that we can email them their offer.
Yeah, the email address is ridiculously important because number one, you can email them offers. You can follow up with emails if it's not a deal right now. I mean, the email address is just a great way to be in communication with them. And another thing that we do is when we get their email address, after we get off the call, we send them some information about our company so they know who we are and what we do. So.
Right, and it goes right to our testimonials page, so now they know who they're dealing with. When you send out a postcard, just keep in mind they don't know who you are. All right, these people, you're just Joe Blow. That hey, I want to buy your house. So as much information about your company that you can give them, the better and the more at ease they feel.
Absolutely.
And when they see you online and they see your internet presence and they see you helping other people, oh, okay, this guy really does this for a living and he's local, he's in our market. So
absolutely
eases that. Then you want to start asking questions about the property. You want to let them know, I'm going to ask you questions about your property if you have about 5 minutes or so, and then after that, we'll determine whether or not it's a fit for us. All right, so you want to let them know that, I'm going to be asking you a series of questions. It's going to take about 5 minutes, and at the end, we'll see if it works. It might not work, you know.
if you just go in and just start asking questions without setting that stage the way he explained, they're going to feel like they're getting interrogated,
Yeah.
right? The way he's doing it, he's, hey, I need to ask you some questions about the property. It's going to take about 5 minutes. Is that okay? You're getting their agreement to do so. And when you're going through it, you don't need every nitty-gritty detail. Get the basics, right? You don't need to spend 20 minutes on the phone with them going over every detail of the property. You need to determine their motivation. So how do we do that?
So that's the next piece. But just keep in mind so for instance, one of the things that we do is we send a mailer. So they have no idea why they got this mailer in the mail, you know? Why are you sending me this? You know, where did this come from?
It's a common objection.
You know, so it's just like you need to set the expectation. All right, I'm going to answer all your questions. I'm going to answer all of that for you, you know, and I'm going to be asking you questions about your property. So this way, you know, you're kind of like answering that ahead of time. The next phase is once you've verified all that information, you got the details about the property, this is where the meat and potatoes come in. You know, sounds like a great house. Why are you selling? Just shh. Sit there and relax. Don't say a word. And let them start telling you the story. All right? They're either going to tell you, well, I'm not really selling. You know, you sent me this postcard and that's it. Okay? So now you just determined they're a very low motivation.
Yep.
No problem. Okay? But 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, hey, you know what? This property's been sitting here. It needs a lot of work. Or I just got laid off. Or I have to relocate. They're going to tell you their story, whatever it is. And that's how you're going to determine whether or not this is a fit for you. All right. So if they're telling you something to the effect that I need to sell now. So if they need to sell quickly or the property needs a ton of work and, you know, they just been trying to dump it and they're tired of it, that's a highly motivated person. You want to set that appointment immediately. Get out there that same day if you can.
Absolutely.
Because that's a highly motivated seller and that's a good property to be in.
And there's certain properties that are only going to go to a cash buyer. There's properties that just need so much work, have so many issues with them, they're only going to go to a cash buyer. So even if the person isn't what you would define as highly motivated, the property is a distressed property.
Right.
And they're going to sell to a cash buyer. It's either going to be you or it's going to be somebody else. So, you know, that's definitely worth an appointment. You know, even if they're trying to get the best price they can, you still can make something happen with that. So,
Right.
you know, if the property is distressed, it's also another reason to go on the appointment.
Yeah, we have one right now. We actually have 2 under contract right now that it needs a total renovation. There's no way anybody with a mortgage is ever going to be able to buy them. We got them under contract and it's like, damn, maybe we got them under contract for too high because they're not moving. But, you know, these are definitely, you know, stuff that we wanted to lock up quickly. So the motivation is there.
Absolutely.
So once you determine the motivation, either you're going to set the appointment or you're not. All right. If they're highly motivated, or even if they're middle range motivation, you set the appointment. You go out there immediately, all right, as quickly as possible to lock it up. If they're not as motivated and they just wanted to see what you can offer or why you sent us this postcard, we're not thinking about selling. You're going to save them for later, and you're going to put them in your follow-up queue.
Follow-up is money.
You also want to send them an offer. Even though they might not be ready, give it to them anyway. Because what's going to happen is you send them that offer, and now that you got their email address, you're going to put them on a follow-up campaign. And the follow-up campaign is going to be like 6 months or 9 months later. Hey, we sent you an offer on your property. Are you still thinking about selling? Aha. That can reopen the conversation.
Absolutely.
Right there.
So that's actually a great transition because at this point, we're talking about following up with the people, following up campaigns. They're not ready yet. So one of the things we want to talk about is something called the CRM, Customer Relationship Management. There's a lot of them out there, a lot of real estate people like Podio. We use Pipe Drive. A lot of people like Freedom Soft, Real Flow, I think is one. There's a whole boatload of them. Investor Po. This is just a boatload. So anyway, that being said, you need at this point to set up some type of way to keep track of all the sellers you've talked to, and as we spoke about last week, all the wholesalers you speak to, the buyers you speak to. You got to keep everybody organized because this game is a people game. It's not a house game, right? It's people. It's all about putting people together, knowing people, and helping people. So that being said, for this week, I want you to go out and get something in place, some type of CRM, some type of way to keep your leads organized and to keep your contacts organized.
Yeah, very important. When we first started out, you know, the first 2 years, so many of our leads fell through the cracks because we weren't implementing our CRM properly. There were people that were coming in, and they weren't highly motivated, so they were just sitting there. It was similar to like just having a spreadsheet, and they just there and you forget about them. So if you don't have a CRM that can actually give you activities, follow up with you, and put things on your calendar for you, then stuff is going to fall through the cracks, and you have to work the system. So get something
Absolutely.
that's definitely going to work for you. All right, and we'll be here for any questions if you need help, analyzing a CRM to make sure it's
Well,
working.
how do they get questions to us?
You tell them.
Questions@goodvibesre.com.
There you go. So, no, definitely give us your questions, because that's what's giving us the concept for these videos. And hopefully these videos are, of value to you. Bring your questions. We haven't been stumped yet. We can answer anything. We've been in this business, many, many years doing this. So we're definitely willing to help, but just bring all your questions.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate it. We'll see you guys again next Wednesday. Another episode of
Chat with.
Chatto.
See you guys.